Everybody, Victoria! Let's give it up for Ashley Bond. You guys are woo! Let's do this. How are you guys doing, Liquid Zoo? Alright, the more you drink, the better outlook. No, oh my god. You guys, I'm super excited. I just got my headshots back. So, looks like I'm gonna be a writer. Dang. You guys, do you ever do this? Like, you go out with an ex, and you gotta remember, the ex, you X them out for a reason. They get X'd out, right? But then, 2 years go by, you forget, like, why you broke up with this person. So my ex-boyfriend, he comes into LA, he's like, yeah, do you want to go to lunch at Boa? I was like, yo, that'd be fun to catch up. And he's so nice on the phone. I get to Boa, and he's like, yeah, I already ate lunch at Soho House. It's like, why did you invite me to lunch? Like, you already ate lunch? And then he was all angry, moody, and I totally forgot, like, oh yeah, he's bipolar. Good to know, you still are bipolar. And then he goes, can you just leave? And I'm like, I just got here. So I literally was like, okay, give me a few seconds to go to the bathroom. I come back, he's all happy, he's drinking a glass of wine. 2 times, bipolar, manic, ex-boyfriend. Yeah, and then he's like, Victoria, aren't you cheap to buy you a glass of, wine? And I'm like, oh my god, like, he's like, red flag, right? He's not even being a gentleman, he's totally being an ass. And then he's like, yeah, I'm just too cheap to buy you a glass of wine. And I'm like, okay, thanks for reminding me, like, I heard you the first time. And this is a guy whose family owns a bank. Like, really? Like, I'm the one who has, like, like, I'm overdrawn in my bank account, right? And, but anyway, like, that's not important, but he was just not even being a gentleman. And then he tells me, he's like, yeah, I still have that dress. That gray dress. And I was like, yeah, I've asked you for that like 2 years ago. Like, do you think you can mail it to me? And he's like, well, actually, I wore it. And I'm like, what do you... So I was like, what are you, like, half gay now? I was like, you wore my dress? I'm like, is that why you never, like, sent it to me? He's like, well, Miss Casimir. And I'm like, yeah, what? I was like, oh my god. I'm like, did you, I'm like, where's the dress? Like, in your closet? He's like, oh no, I put it in storage. I'm like, what? Like, you're gonna wear it this winter? I was like, dang, like, really? Like, this thing was just getting worse. And, so then he's like, well, his car comes to take him to LAX airport. And he's like, well, I was thinking you can come with me to the airport. We could hook up in the car. I was like, why would you think I want to get together with you? Like, you're like such an ass. Like, so I was like, thanks for reminding me, like, why, I broke up with you. So I was so sad though, because I was like, God, he was so, like, such a douchebag. I went to Sprinkles and got a cupcake. I was just like, oh, I'm never going out with an ex again. That just, like, did it for me right there. And the fact, like, you didn't even know he wasn't being nice. Like, really? So, I gotta remember, ex-boyfriend, get X'd out for a reason. Or, just, like, really? So, good times. But, yeah, I still can't believe such a bad lunch date. That was crazy. And, no, but I recently went out with this guy I love illegal aliens. And, I actually stayed in Europe. I was an illegal alien because I stayed in Europe too long. But this guy, he's like from Colombia, and he told me he was an entrepreneur. So I was like, oh, okay, is that what you're calling being a drug dealer? So, but no, you guys, like, I stayed in Colombia, and it's supposed to be, I'm so naive, like, I was at this hotel, and they're like, do you want Coke delivered to your room? And I was so thirsty. I thought they meant Coke the drink, so I was like, sure. So the Coke comes, and I was like, okay, this wasn't the Coke I ordered. Like, I was like, that was like Coke the drink. But I noticed in Colombia, like, everybody's like a drug dealer, like, like your hotel concierge, the grandmas, like priests. I was like, all right, good time. But so this guy, like, we were actually dancing, and then like he shows me, he was like packing a gun. I was like, is that illegal? Like, so I was like, oh my god. You really are a drug dealer. But, and then he's like, I need it for protection. But my sister, actually, she's a big hunter. Like, she has 12 rifles. So I told him, I'm like, well, do you just have one gun? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, well, my sister has like 12 rifles. And he actually got scared and like laughed. I was like, oh my God, what a wuss. Like, I was like, really? So, good times. But, yeah, I don't know if you ever done this, like, have you guys dated someone who stole something from you? But, this guy, like, he totally stole something I love so much. And I was like, you know, if you're gonna steal something from me, steal something I'm not gonna notice, like change. Don't steal my dog. Like he stole my dog. And then he, like, said, okay, like, yeah, he took my dog hostage. And then he basically was like, sent me this ransom note, like, I'm not gonna give your dog back until we get back together. And I was like, I'm just gonna send you a $200 psychotherapy bill. But like, who steals somebody's dog? And then he moves, like he was from Colorado, he moves back to Colorado with my dog. And I was like, God, I hope my dog runs away from him and he gets struck by lightning. And then he goes, this really sad. My grandpa, he's like 98. He had this dog, and I used to pray like, okay, he loved this dog more than my grandma. Like, my grandma died, and he was like, okay with it. But like, somebody stole his dog, and he was like, ended up in the hospital, like he had a broken heart. And so we find out it was his neighbors who stole his dog. And, you know, they're from Colorado. I'm like, what's up with people from Colorado stealing people's dogs? But like, my grandpa died because of this, you know, his neighbor stealing his dog. So, yeah, it was so sad. Dang, you guys, my boyfriend told me to be more affectionate, so now I have 2 boyfriends. All right, thanks you guys.